Hi, welcome to the proof for 13.15. This is to show you how to do it by hand. Also, again, just like with the midterm, to prepare you for the final exam. So, as always, have your rule sheets out on the side, and we'll step through this. Remember that when we do proofs for the final exam, it's pretty much the same as before as the midterm. The only new addition is in the strategy sheet with E-elim. E-elim and OR-elim are like brother and sister. Yeah, they go together, but the more powerful of the two is E-elim, and then secondarily OR-elim. You try those first, always in that order. If those two aren't available, then and only then are you on to the backwards method. So here we go, 1315, illustrating that process. So you first try the first strategy. Again, look at your rule sheet. I have it in there on the very first page. It's changed since the midterm. The stuff in the brackets indicates the change that's to be made. So you first try E-elim, always, always, always. Just like with OR-elim, you never ever look at the line that you're at. You cover it up. You only look above. And the question is, do you have E as the main connective above? It always has to be main connective. Well, how do you know what the main connective is? Meaning is all important for the second half of this course. And to figure out the meaning of the sentence, you have to say it out loud. When you say it out loud, if you say it correctly, it actually tells you what the main connective is. So this first one, for example, what does it say? It says there's something such that if that something's a cube, then it's small. Well, what did you just say? What came out of your mouth when you read it properly? Something, right? That's how you know the something is the main connective. So you can use at the bottom E-elim. That's possible because you have an E above as the main connective in number 1. I can label these 1 and 2. I can't number anymore. So then you flip to your sheet. Anytime you put in a rule down below, you always have to flip to the sheet. Look it up. It says 3 things are needed. First is a subproof. So again, fill in all the space, nothing above, nothing below. And the second thing that's needed is a box constant that occurs no place else, some new constant. It's called a witness constant, and it's a witness to the something. Like if you say someone's gone missing, what do they call them? They call them Doe, right? John Doe, Jane Doe. In this case, let's use D, since D occurs nowhere else. That's not their real name. That's the whole point. It's a placeholder name, a witness constant to the something or someone. In this case, you're saying something, there's something. If it's a cube, then it's small. So name that something. So suppose that's the subproof. Suppose we call that something D, D for dough, right? And then now you fill in the rest. If D were a cube, then D would be small, like that, right? So that's the first part. And then the last part you need, or actually the second part, the first thing is the subproof, the second thing is that above, and the last part is you need S down below. S is always identified by wherever your E-elim is at. Like with OR-elim, it's the same logic. Wherever your E-elim is at, that identifies your S. So this is EXSS. Remember, S just stands for sentence, whatever that sentence is. No matter how long or how short, it's just whatever that thing is, you cut and paste it there. So that stands for your S. In this case, something is small. Yeah. All right, you move up to here, and anytime you move up, you reset the process. So you try all over again. You try the first strategy, flip back to the first page. Can you use E-elim? Well, you never look at the line you're at. You only look above. I have access to that now. I can label that 3 because nothing else will go in between. 2 falls to the left, 2 and 1. Do I have an E there as the main connective? Yes, I do in 1, but that's already in play, so you're not going to use it again. That's out. So now you're on to the other major strategy, OR-elim. Can I use OR-elim? I look again above and to the left, that, and that. There's no OR anywhere as the main connective. In fact, there's no ORs anywhere. So OR-elim is out. So then I'm on to the backwards method. Backwards method says now I look at the line that I'm at. So I don't look at anywhere else. I cover up everything else down below and above. I only look at wherever my pointer's at. Identify the main connective. What's the main connective? Well, again, think meaning. What does that say? Something is small. There you go. The something is the main connective. So I put an E down there. And then it says, secondly, you guess intro. Look it up in the rule sheet. What does it require? Well, E-intro requires, if you look it up, the predicate with an actual instance. If I say something is small, I have to have an actual instance of a small thing to claim more abstractly that something is small, right? So let's put S here, and then I could put in any constant, A, B, C, D, it doesn't matter. If I put an A there, that would be okay, and I'd get A is small, then it follows that something is small. But the problem overall in the larger scheme of things is that if you look at it up here, I've chosen the constant D, so you should try to remain consistent with the constant that you choose. So in this case, I should choose D, just to be safe. It'll work out, chances are, better overall. So if D were small, then I could claim that something is small. Okay, so that's good. You would get the check in your mind. Anytime you get the check, you move up to here, and then anytime you move up, you're back to the first page. So back to the first page and restart that whole process. First off, can I use elim? You look above. Again, there's an E there, but that's already in play. That's what this whole subproof is about. So that's out. So then you try or-elim. Can you use that? Again, no new ors have popped up, so that's out. So then you're on again to the backwards method. So now I look at the line that I'm at, I look at small d, and I ask what's the main connective? Well, there isn't a main connective there. There's no connective at all. So when that happens, if you look at the backwards method, it says you skip to the last step, and that means you use the stuff above and you work top down. You find a way to use this stuff up here and however many steps go in between to work down towards this. It may be immediate, but chances are not. Okay, so this is where meaning becomes really important, because when you work top down, you got to figure out what these things are saying and figure out a way to connect up that information with what you're aiming for. So what are you going to use working top down? 1's already out because it's in play, so the only things you really got are 2 and 3. Well, let's think meaning wise. What does it say? 2 says everything is a cube. Everything's a cube. And 3 says if D were a cube, then D would be small. What am I after overall? That D is small. So if I try to break it down, I want D is small. What do I need to know first? Well, again, 3 says if D were a cube, then D would be small. So to get D is small, I need cube D. So I'll etch it right above there because that's what I need. Okay? And now this is sort of like just guesswork. I'm not going to put any rules down here. I know they're going to be elim rules of some sort, but I don't know what yet. So if I want, I can put elim there and elim there, but I just don't know what it is yet. So if I had cube D, from this I could get then D is small. Well, how do I get cube D? Well, what haven't I used yet? I haven't used 2. What does 2 say? 2 says everything's a cube. Well, think about it. If you know everything's a cube, does it follow that D is a cube? And the answer is yes, because everything's a cube, right? So it must follow that each individual thing, A is a cube, B is a cube, C is a cube, D is a cube, E is a cube. That holds for everything. It's got to hold in particular for D. And that means your proof is done. You can number them now. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now you got to fill in the rules. You're working top down. This is coming from 2. And what rule says that you can take the universal and eliminate it? Well, right there, universal elim. Here's a big hint. Anytime you have a universal up above, the only thing, as the main connective, the only thing you can do with it is pretty much universal elim. And universal elim is the one that makes sense. It actually says eliminate the universal. So in this case, I'd have cx, but that's not a sentence. And then you put in any constant you want. So if everything's a cube, then D would be a cube, B would be a cube, E would be, you name it, right? So that's that. And then now, going down to 5, I claim that from the information I got, small d follows. Why? Well, what does 3 say? 3 says if D is a cube, then D is small. Well, what do I know? D is a cube. So therefore, it's got to follow that D is small. And this is an old rule. You look it up in your sheet. What's the only connective I use right there? Well, I use the if-then, so you should look it up. Don't just guess randomly. Look it up and try to match the pattern. Conditional elim fits that pattern when you look it up in your rule sheet. It says you need to have this, the conditional, plus the condition for it, the left side of the conditional, right? If you're the 50th caller, you get the trip to Vegas. You need both the promise or the offer, plus meeting the condition, being the 50th caller, to then get the prize. So this says you need this in order to get that. I have to first have the offer or the promise, and then secondly, the condition of it, and then thirdly, I can get the prize. So that's from 3, 4. And then now look up in your rule sheet further. Existential intro, what's highlighted or boxed there? Well, if you look it up, it says you just need the predicate with the constant, right? So the instance of the something. So if D is small, then you can claim more abstractly something is small. So that just comes from 5. And then the last one is existential elim. Where does that come from? Well, if you look it up, it says it stems first from the existential. So this is 1, comma, the whole subproof. So 3-6. And there it is. This is proof 13.15. All right, remember, folks, this is good practice, so you should try to do all these by hand. If you haven't done so yet, you should look at the review section in Laulima for the structure of the final. It's pretty much just like the midterm, but there's some new topics that we haven't covered yet that we'll cover there. So you might want to look at that review section to target what it is that you'll be studying for the upcoming exam. It's based as always on the homeworks, and that'll give you a sort of summary for what to look at. All right, folks, good luck.